Good afternoon, or whatever. Hi, and welcome to beer review number 5. I think number 5. Okay, we're gonna go with 5. 5. Okay, so today we have Alien Amber Ale. Lighting's not the greatest. All right, and this comes from Sierra Blanca Brewing Company out of Mirardi, New Mexico. Um, it is an amber ale, as I said, and I believe it's only, oh boy, I believe it's only 5.2% alcohol, so about standard for an amber ale. Um, Typically with this genre, you get a good malty um, character with it. You get some hop. You know, it's a little heavier hop than your normal lagers, or sorry, more than a lager. It's got the maltiness of like like an amber lager, but a little more hop. Um, those of you that don't know the difference um, between ales and lagers is you have beer and then you have ales and lagers, and the difference is in the fermentation um, and how you go about. I mean, basically, they're all the wort is boiled essentially the same way. You know, your your grain bill is different, whatever, obviously, but that's varies through the same style of beer. But basically, where it boils down is ales are fermented at a much shorter time frame. You know, 2 to 3 weeks. You know, around that time frame, anywhere from like 65 degrees Fahrenheit up to, you know, 75 is on the higher end, depending. You do have steam beers that are higher. That steam beers are a whole other animal. But look them up. It's a very U.S. specific style of beer. I think it originated out of San Francisco. Uh, but we'll save that history lesson for another time. Sadly, but sticking on the steam beer, Anchor Brewing out of California. Um, Sadly, they are going out of business, and I believe Anchor Beer is still available, mostly for the most part nationwide. If you can find it, give it a chance. Just because it's a fairly unique style of beer that's not really it's not very popular at all. Um, so get it while you still can get the chance. I forget when they're slated to, finally close up operations, but it's sad to see them go. Anyway, back to ales and lagers. So as I was saying, ales 65 to 75. We'll just use that as usually the generic range. Um, so typically you see a lot of breweries stick with ales because they're quicker to brew. You don't have to age them as long, and they're not as finicky as what a lager can be. I always said leave it to the Germans to find a way to make something more complicated than it needs to be, because Germany tends to be where the concept of a lager came from. Um, they have to be fermented. I want to say 55 to 65. I'll give it a range like that. It's cooler. They do the yeast are very finicky. You have to keep in a very consistent temperature, otherwise it'll ruin the flavor or ruin the beer. Um, and it takes like 6 weeks on average for a lager to ferment, and then when you bottle it, or you're aging it, you're it's gonna take another 4 to 6 weeks for that to happen. So is where, if you're home brewing, you can usually have an ale within a month, 4 to 5 weeks. At lager, you're looking at like 10 to 12 on average with that. And again, it all comes down to what you're brewing and stuff. So I know we kind of went on a tangent here, but we're going to come back. So you'll see a lot of amber lagers. You'll see a lot of amber ales. Um, really, the only difference is just how the process of them being made. They do tend to, I think, the profile is a little different. Is very similar. So if you like amber lagers, you're probably gonna like an amber ale. It's so anyway. Back to Alien. So I already got it opened up. It's a bottle this time. Most of the time we're using cans. I'm not gonna try and even attempt to open up a bottle with a hacksaw. Um, It'd either take way too much time to open it, or I'd have to saw, and glass is brittle, and I don't feel like breaking glass and getting it into the beer and then not being able to drink the beer. So anyway, so I don't really think this had probably on the 6-pack holder probably has more of what the profile is supposed to take like and stuff, but we'll give it a taste and we'll go from there. So this tends to be there's a little bit of a hop profile, and I guess I mean that in the sense that like you can get there's a little bit of bitterness. I wouldn't say it's been dry hopped at all. Um, if I knew the hop profile that they used in the making of it, I could probably give you a little clearer um, on the taste, kind of give you more specifics, but it's definitely got a good malty flavor to it. Um, so I'd say it leans more, it's definitely just, a standard ale. It's good. It's a pretty, I feel it's a pretty on point amber ale. Um, if you've ever had Trogs Hopback, I don't think they're making that anymore. But I haven't been back to Pennsylvania. Again, this is a very Pennsylvania specific beer that I'm referencing. I know it has been distributed maybe within a few states of the Mid Atlantic, maybe down in, maybe up to New York or, a little bit of New England stuff. But that was definitely, it was an amber ale, but it was definitely more of a heavier hopped amber ale versus a lot of other ones that I've had. So this has a more standard amber ale taste. So if you like amber ales and you're not really looking for something that has that more bitter or piney, grapefruity, anything like typically those flavors you get from heavily hopped beers. If you don't like that, this is a good one to go for. It's good malty. It's seems to be a good beer you can just sit down and enjoy with a good burger. I think this would pair well with something spicy. Um, it's not overpowering the taste. It will help um, enhance the flavors of the food that you're eating. I think it's a good pairing beer. Um, but anyway, we'll keep this video to hopefully under the 10-minute mark here. I see that I'm at a little over 9 minutes now. So anyway, if you find us, I think, probably being from New Mexico, if you're in the Southwest, if you see it around, I found this at Total Wine yesterday, over the weekend. And so I don't know how far distributed it is, but give it a taste. Cheers. We'll see you next time.